We've got about 5 trading days left until this very significant event begins. And this specific significant event could actually really destroy the stock market. And I mean, destroy it worse than it has already been annihilated at current time. And what's interesting is I am barely seeing anybody cover it. I don't see it on Yahoo Finance, CNBC, Bloomberg, not even on YouTube. But we've got about 4 trading days left before the Fed begins to reduce its balance sheet. And that process is called quantitative tightening. And I am seeing very few people talk about this, but it is very, very serious. And in this video, I am going to break that entire thing down. So let's go ahead and get into it. What exactly is quantitative tightening? So quantitative tightening, otherwise known as QT, is when a central bank reduces its holdings of bonds by either letting them mature or actively selling them. Now, the Fed this month pledged to start reducing its $9 trillion in assets in June after snapping up government bonds and mortgage-backed securities in an effort to soothe markets and the economy during the pandemic. Most of us know this. That's the whole thing where people say the Fed and the government printed too much money. That's where that whole thing comes from. And that process where the Fed actually injected money into the overall market and the system is actually known as quantitative easing. Okay, so the Fed with this quantitative tightening hopes to be shedding $95 billion a month of bonds by the end of September. Now, through quantitative tightening, the Federal Reserve reduces its supply of monetary reserves in order to tighten its balance sheet, and it does so simply by letting the bonds and other securities it has purchased reach maturity. Now, when this happens, the Treasury Department removes them from its cash balances, and thus the money that it has created effectively disappears. I know that sounds crazy. So now, although very few people on YouTube and in the media and everywhere else are talking about it, why does this seem to have the stock market worried? Well, it's because of what happened the last time that they did it. So the Fed has only tried quantitative tightening once before, and this was actually in 2018, and it didn't go so well for stock markets. As a matter of fact, it went terrible. As a matter of fact, it was an absolute disaster, kind of like how the market is an absolute disaster right now. So stocks fell sharply in 2018 when the Fed did this. The S&P 500 actually fell 15.5% from its peak during that time. The Dow Jones fell 14% from its peak during that time, and the NASDAQ fell 19% from its peak at that time. And this all happened fairly quickly once the Fed began to do this quantitative tightening process. Now, things got so bad that after about 10 months, the central bank actually reversed their policy and they said, never mind, we're going to chill out. The stock market is freaking out too much and we don't like it. And so that's actually what happened. And what a lot of people also don't talk about is you actually had a bull market rally that took place in crypto before the Fed started to quantitative tightening process. But what happened was when the Fed started quantitative tightening in 2018, during this exact same period, you actually saw Bitcoin fall from $19,000 to only $3,000, which represents an 83% fall. And yes, I did fact check that. That is exactly what happened. Bitcoin actually did have a massive fall after having a massive rally in 2017. And so that's what happened last time. Now, some people believe, here's some optimism in this entire thing, even though I think that quantitative tightening will kill the market, and I could be wrong, but this is what I believe, especially going off of history and seeing how bad the market reacted when the Fed did this. Some believe actually that the Fed is wrong in its assessment and that the U.S. economy is not strong enough to withstand higher interest rates and quantitative tightening. So we know that the Fed, Jerome Powell, said a few times that he believes the economy is strong enough to deal with rising interest rates as well as quantitative tightening. There are some economists and stock guys and media personalities who believe that that is not true. And some are even saying that even right now today, there are signs that we could very well be in a recession right now. Now, what I can tell you, in my opinion, is that if Q2 GDP ends up coming out negative, which would officially put us into a recession, I do believe that that could cause the Fed to step back, which for a lot of people, that's their bullish thesis on why they think it's okay to buy stocks right now. But for me, I disagree because I believe that the Fed is extremely serious about fighting inflation. And even though I believe that we are in a recession right now, I don't want to gamble my money on that, because what if we're not in a recession and everybody put money into the market thinking that we're not in a recession and the Fed is going to have to pull away, and then the Q2 GDP comes out and it's positive and the Fed's like, see, I told you. And then they just start yanking those rates up on everybody. So I'm going to personally continue with my plan of holding most of my cash. Now, remember, I am still invested in the stock market, right? I'm just not buying stocks right now. That's it. And remember, I'm 27, so it's not a big deal for me. Now, if you're 65 or something, you may have a different situation. You're probably going to want to talk to your financial advisor. But for me, I can handle a few months of not buying stocks. I'm just being honest. And actually, I would prefer it to be this way because stocks have gotten so cheap, and I think they're going to continue to get so cheap. I am saving up so much cash on the side. This is going to be an incredible opportunity, like literally one for the books, for me to build some insane wealth in the future. Like, I'm going to be able to tell my kids this in the future. Like, yeah, when I was 27 years old, the market went to crap. I waited patiently. I took my time and I bought in at the right time. And that's why your father has all these crazy massive returns in stocks, because he waited patiently for basically the Fed to stop, which is honestly, to be honest, that's kind of what I'm waiting for, to be honest with you guys. I just, I've said this in so many videos. I just don't want to fight the Fed. What else can I say? I feel like buying stocks is fighting the Fed. That's what I think. And I think a lot of people are thinking, oh, the Fed's going to raise 50 base point hikes and they're only going to do this much. And like, in my opinion, the Fed is bound to flip at any moment, not to the positive side either. Like, I think they're bound to flip to get more aggressive. And because of that, I have no interest in putting more money in the stocks and fighting the Fed. And so for that reason, I am staying put on the sidelines. Remember, I do still have money invested in the stock market. I mostly own index funds, but I am not currently putting any cash to work. That cash is sitting in my bank account getting eaten up by inflation, as people say. But I would rather get eaten up by inflation slowly over time than lose 20% of its value in one day. Netflix, Facebook, what else? I don't even know. Every stock at this point. Feels like every stock has fallen this much. Best Buy, So anyway, yeah, that's all I have to say, guys. So hopefully this video was helpful. I'm surprised that I'm not seeing very many people talk about quantitative tightening. And if you guys got any comments or anything you want to say about it, feel free to leave a comment on how you think quantitative tightening is going to affect the stock market. Definitely feel free to leave a comment. I would love to hear your thoughts. And there you guys have it. That'll go and conclude today's video. Thank you guys so much for watching. Feel free to like, share, subscribe, and I will see you guys in the next one.